7 signs someone is truly wise. Maturity is a state when an individual is in a position to realize what is happening around him, her, to understand the rationale behind those happenings and does not get too elated nor too depressed by final results. Thus, she is in a position to absorb pressures and remain unperturbed by the situations around him. Her. Wisdom and maturity are words that gets thrown around a lot. We use to describe a piece of advice or quote that is unusually helpful and sensible. But if we look at what makes up a wise person, it's easy to see that it's a summation of many different positive traits and behaviors. Emotional maturity is one of the key ingredients of a fulfilling life. When you're emotionally immature, you take it out on your surroundings, but you end up suffering the most. You suffocate yourself with your own negative energy. Meanwhile, high emotional maturity enables you to maximize your resources and use them on what matters most. It brings positivity into your life and helps you cultivate meaningful, long-lasting relationships. 1. You take time more seriously. How well do you manage your time? If you take your time very seriously and manage it in a way to use it efficiently and effectively, then you are likely more mature than others. You have come to the realization that time is very valuable and you hate wasting it. This applies to your own time as well as others. For example, you now spend much less of your time doing things that don't really help you move toward your goals. You also know that assigning some time for hobbies or things that help you relax is very important. You don't like being late to meetings because you respect and value other people's time as well. If you've made plans with friends, turning up on time is a way of showing that you care. You want to spend time with them doing something nice, planning a fun trip, or perhaps helping them through a breakup. Getting to the right place at the right time shows that you've made the effort to be with them or support them. If you're in a relationship, showing up on time also sends your partner the message that you're still interested and invested and want to spend quality time with them. Being late shows that you don't prioritize them and could lead to more issues further down the line. 2. You love yourself as much as you love anyone else. Self-love was never my strong suit until this year. I took issue with every possible thing about myself that even marginally ventured outside the norm. It's an exhausting game that always ends the same way. You don't win. Real self-love is an appreciate for not only all that's great about you, but also your legitimate imperfections. This isn't meant to be rooted in spite, though, especially in an I can do bad all by myself way. This love is acknowledging what needs improvement and loving yourself enough to put in the work to refine it. Happy with what you've got while you pursue what you want. 3. You are less argumentative and more accommodating. There are times when you think you are right in an argument, but by winning an argument you may lose a friend. So, it may be advisable to refrain from arguing too much at these times. Quite often, when things are normal, the other person with whom there was an argument may realize your point of view, or it is also possible you understand his, her perspective better. 4. Just because someone is not agreeing to you does not mean she is wrong. By arguing less, you are providing the required space and prestige to others, and at the same time you are buying more time for yourself to look at the other's argument from another angle, and additionally, you command more respect from others. This shows you are now a matured individual. 4. You don't let your emotions dictate your behaviors. You know emotions can be overwhelming, but you don't let them take control over you. You don't instantly react to any feeling you might have. You wait them out. You give yourself space and time to understand them and make the most beneficial course of actions. You think long-term instead of focusing on alleviating the negative emotions quickly. You create a space between feeling and reacting, and you understand you don't have to react to everything that makes you feel something. You choose to make well-informed decisions instead of emotionally charged ones. 5. You are more self-aware. Maturity grows from a seed of awareness, an awareness of the self and the actions you take. Being self-aware means you are able to look at yourself through the eyes of an observer. You can take a somewhat neutral stance to watch your thoughts, actions, and emotions before applying a rational filter to them. Essentially, self-awareness is about building up an understanding of your personality, its strengths and weakness, its potential and limitations, and every little nuance. Self-awareness involves the application of introspective capabilities and external feedback to develop a better understanding of who you are, how you see the world, your values, and your strengths. Self-awareness enables an increased understanding of why we experience the feelings that we do, why we say certain things and take certain actions. Having heightened self-awareness allows you to gain perspective of how others may be receiving and perceiving you and the effect you may have on others. Indeed, it forms the key cornerstone of emotional intelligence as it serves as the launchpad for improving the other EQ elements of social awareness, self and social regulation. 6. You are patient. Patience is a virtue and valuable when it comes to personal finances. A wise person saves enough money to purchase a fun, new gadget instead of charging it to a credit card. Wise people take their time when making important decisions, like buying a new car or a home. When you exercise patience, you give yourself a chance to process yourself and learn your weaknesses and strength. Smart people are almost 3 times as generous as those with lower cognitive abilities. The study found the reason may be that smarter people are more patient, a quality that is critical for cooperation. More patience allows people to step back from the situation and exert self-control. 7. You have a thick skin. A wise person isn't sensitive. When someone tries to put you down with a mean comment, it doesn't bother you in the slightest. You understand that life is tough for everyone, so you accept that sometimes some people are going to lash out and get angry. You know that no one is out to get them, but it's just a way for them to let out their insecurities. After all, what people think about you says more about them than what it does about you. This also makes a wise person excellent communicators, as they can diffuse arguments and resentment with understanding dialogue. So if we sum up the characteristics of a wise person, you realize that most of the bad behavior of other people really comes down to fear and anxiety, rather than, as it is generally easier to presume, nastiness or idiocy. You loosen your hold on self-righteousness and stop thinking of the world as populated by either monsters or fools. It makes things less black and white at first, but in time, a great deal more interesting. You learn that what is in your head can't automatically be understood by other people. You realize that, unfortunately, you will have to articulate your intentions and feelings with the use of words, and can't fairly blame others for not getting what you mean until you've spoken calmly and clearly. You learn that, remarkably, you do sometimes get things wrong. With huge courage, you take your first faltering steps towards apologizing. You learn to be confident not by realizing that you're great, but by learning that everyone else is just as stupid, scared and lost as you are. We're all making it up as we go along, and that's fine. You stop suffering from imposter syndrome because you can accept that there is no such thing as a legitimate anyone. We are all, to varying degrees, attempting to act a role while keeping our follies and wayward sides at bay. You realize that when people close to you nag you, or are unpleasant or vindictive, they usually aren't just trying to wind you up. They may be trying to get your attention in the only way they know how. You learn to detect the desperation beneath your loved one's less impressive moments, and, on a good day, you interpret them with love rather than judge them. You give up sulking. If someone hurts you, you don't store up the hatred and the hurt for days. You remember you'll be dead soon. You don't expect others to know what's wrong. You tell them straight, and if they get it, you forgive them, and if they don't, in a different way, you forgive them too. A socially mature individual should be able to make judgments, decisions, and take proper action in face of problems and critical issues. He should be able to participate in cooperative activities without conflict with others. He is capable of taking responsibility for his own actions and of making and keeping a large number of friends. He has a well-balanced and objective estimate of himself and can take on himself different roles in accordance with the demand of different situations. He identifies with the interests of the group and puts the group benefits before his selfish gains. The world is incredibly complex, and it's impossible to be right about everything. A wise person is always looking to get better, and that means learning from their mistakes. After all, learning from mistakes and failures is how they became so wise in the first place. A wise person doesn't associate their ego with their opinions, which is why they can easily say, "I was wrong." They can admit that something they once believed in is now wrong because they have more evidence and proof. A wise person understands all perspectives without letting bias or emotions get in the way. This means accepting that there are always 2 sides to a story and realizing that everyone has good reasons for thinking the way they do. This is why a wise person will take a step back and look at the overall picture before making an opinion. If it's true that you can become a wise person by emulating one, this article gives you the blueprint for success. Whether it's gaining knowledge, putting family first, or taking risks, there's a lot to be learned from wise people. Take a close look at your personal finances to determine whether you make wise financial decisions and how you can improve. It might just the right time for a change. So these were the 7 signs of people who are wise, and I hope you must have enjoyed watching this video. Do not forget to like, share, and subscribe. turn on the notification bell so that you get notified whenever we upload a new video. And I'll see you in next one.